Good morning. I am still working on the raccoon, but I thought I would take a break from it a little bit and show you um, some of the past pieces I had done because someone asked me about how did I get that face so even. And there's a tool that can help you do that. So I thought maybe I would show this to you. This is a um, just a post with some heavy blocks, and it's kind of bolted in from the end. And what you can do is attach a straight um, pencil or pointer to this. And I have a little piece I should have brought out, but I'll bring it out in future videos to show you. Um, what that does is it helps you, I'll kind of simulate it like this. I have a face I did many years ago. It was for a collection of lady vases. There's actually a hole here where a vase went in a little, looked like a test tube and a flower, and it was to sort of emulate the old-fashioned lady vases. So I remember using Michelle Pfeiffer's face as a model. I had a lot of pictures of her, and I just tried to get the best representation I could of just making a pretty lady. And so what you do with this, and I've talked a lot about measuring, but you have a piece that holds it on perpendicular to this post. And what you can do is then when this is up on a turntable, you can measure exactly the inward parts as well as the outward parts so that you can equalize the shapes on the face. It's one thing to measure like I show you, but what's hard to do is measure into it. So if you measure into it, how deep is that? And then how deep is that on this side? And this technique gives you a way to actually go in on equal sides, the same distance. So I'll talk more about that and get that piece that goes on there so I can exactly demonstrate it. And that will apply to when you're doing an animal face or a human face. It doesn't really matter. You're trying to get equalizing on each side. And because it's 3 dimensions, that's challenging to learn how to do. And it always helps if you have another tool that helps you measure. And one of the things, this little piece here, there's a tiny little face that I did years ago. We made little Thumbelina in porcelain, sleeping in a walnut shell, and all of these faces to get a nice balanced face that's equal on both sides is really hard to learn how to do. And just a few tools. Here's a set, one of the set of figurines I did for Danbury Mint. This was the Rose Princess for matching up with designs created by Lena Liu, two-dimensional designs. And it was my job to do the figurine set. So there are 4 of these, and I just have this model right now. This was the first one. Again, doing little tiny faces is very difficult, but if you start with something a little bigger, and the animal faces are the same way, trying to equalize and measure up. It's one thing to measure this way or that way. It's another thing to measure um, inside and make sure your depth is the same. So this is the idea, to have a tool that will help you measure depth. So we'll talk more about that in the future. But for now, I'm just going to close up on what I've been doing here and just keep working for a few minutes. I didn't have a lot of time and over the past few days, but I'm working on finishing up this fur pattern and spending some time on the tail. So you can always watch this video later. Nobody has to be here at this time. But I always hope to be able to answer your questions. And, if you come on, let me try to move this way up so you can really see the detail. If you come on and you have a question, I'll be glad to answer. I keep looking to see if there are questions. But please subscribe if you're seeing this for the first time. And I'm coming on Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 8 a.m. Arizona time. Please tell your friends if they're interested in learning about sculpture. I'm just going to continue to do this, even if there's nobody attending, because my goal is to not just teach sculpture, but to actually create a nice new collection of small animals and birds that um, are North American, but particularly ones that live in this area where I am in Arizona, because I'm between the deserts and the mountains. And it's really a great location for such a huge variety in terms of wildlife and birds. You can't believe the interface between the mountains and the deserts just has so much exciting animal life and bird life. Um, a few years back, a very rare bird, unfortunately, it hit my window and passed away. But it was the yellow-billed cuckoo, and I took measurements of it, thinking maybe we could do a sculpture of that. It's a really cool bird, relatively rare, and Audubon tries to keep track of it. So, trying to get that just right. If anybody wants a primer on these textures, we do have a good texture video that was made by Chuck Oldham before he passed away. And you might want to find that on our channel. So it really kind of details what I'm doing. I'm trying to create a texture that is really more specific to the raccoon's fur, which is very, let's see if you can see this, very hard to do, in my opinion, because it's just this giant, as I've been saying, a giant fuzzball. So I have a new brush that I put somewhere. Here it is. So you might have seen in the previous videos, you just get your alcohol. I just use regular store-bought, drugstore-bought alcohol and just go over those strokes. And you'll see that in the textures video as well. Just go over those strokes and there we go. Just blends them in and creates a more smooth and realistic look. So you carve away at first, but then you're blending things together. And if you get kind of crumbs, have a jar that's a little bit full so you can push your brush against the side, let the crumbs get to the bottom. Use a paper towel to get off excess alcohol. Some people use a stronger solvent. I don't recommend that because the stronger solvent will eat away too much of your clay body and ruin your clay. So you don't want to overdo this, but you do a little bit at a time and brush it, and you can see it starts to look better. Now what you want to do is maybe let it dry a little bit and then go back because I'm going to use a little finer angle tool here. Let's see, right here. I have this heavy one and then I have a finer one. And just go back in and just accentuate those cuts in a way that you can then rebrush it, but you don't want to lose all your detail. On the other hand, it's very hard to do, in my view, the best detail in one pass. You're going to want to vary it so it's not very regular looking, and you're going to want to try to retain detail, but while at the same time making sure it smoothly blends in. See, I'm recutting some of that where I want to. This is a way to kind of tease it into shape. I'm still going to probably add clay to make it stick up in places. Like, see how this, let me show you here. See how that raccoon's tail kind of toughs out and sticks up? That's pretty difficult to portray without getting this smoothness to occur in the first place. So we're just going to keep going and make that nice and integrated. That's really what we're trying to do right now. Just get that nice and smooth, integrated, and I'm going to go over the whole body again with this technique. As you can see, just kind of slowly working it in. Animal fur is difficult because depending on the species of animal, it's different. There's not just one way to do it. And so you have to really observe your topic, your subject, and constantly adjust to try to make that more realistic. That's what my goal is, to try to make me feel like when this is all done, I have a little raccoon, even though it's not life size, I'm transported in my mind to having a real raccoon um, in my presence. That's the goal. You can make it stylized, you can make it realistic, but the proportions and the length of the hair that you're portraying really goes a long way to create that illusion. So I'm just going to smooth that in, and the brush is a really nice tool to do that. I got a little bigger brush this morning just so I can go over it very smoothly and just blend that in from the sides. Make sure I'm not having too much of a cut edge there, like right there, that's really too abrupt. We'll fix that in just a minute. Just getting that smoothed in. I hope you can see that. I did get a new um, mesh style router so that I can get a better resolution for you with my existing system in the future videos. Sometimes it's hard to see the detail. Let me try to get down on that a little more for you to see it. The detail of exactly what's going on here, because my internet connection is sometimes not great to my studio. So we'll improve that. Now that's a little too much right there. I'm going to make cuts to bring that back out. See how I do that? Just cut it very nicely to bring it back out. You can see that, and it sort of gives it a little bit of a swirl. You don't want too much because the actual raccoon is a very straight, very choppy looking. Oops, now see that's a, it's not hard to do that. Just bring it back in, back out. There we go. There's a nice cut right there. So we're going to just, again, oops, go with the flow, so to speak. Go with the flow of the fur and smooth that down. As you can see, it's getting there. Just takes a little bit of teasing into place. So I'll continue to work on that, and I hope you got a chance to see that up close, where it's headed, and compare it to the picture. You can see I'm trying to give that same illusion. All right, so we're done for today, but please join us next time, Monday morning, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already so you get a notice. I put out a notice that I'll have a live stream, and so I hope to see you soon. Take care and have a great weekend. Bye-bye.